Ethan arrived 10 minutes early, because that's who he was, someone who didn't like keeping people waiting. Not at work. Not in life. And especially not on a blind date that his best friend had bullied him into attending. He stood outside the little rooftop restaurant, smoothing the wrinkles in his shirt, the one he ironed twice because he didn't own many and wanted to look presentable. His palms were sweaty. He checked his phone. No messages. No cancellations. No last-minute excuses. Good. Maybe the night would go smoothly. Maybe, for once, life might give him something gentle. He stepped inside, the lights warm and golden, soft music floating through the air. Couples were laughing at tables decorated with candles and little vases of flowers. The place smelled like roasted garlic and toasted bread, nothing fancy, but comforting. The hostess led him to a small table near the edge, the city light stretching behind him like a scattered necklace. He sat down, exhaled, and tried to relax. Tonight wasn't about impressing anyone. He just wanted conversation. Maybe companionship. A reminder that his world didn't only revolve around diapers, school lunches, and night shifts. As a security guard he kept telling himself not to expect too much. The elevator dinged. Ethan looked up, and everything inside him paused. The woman who stepped out didn't look like someone who went on blind dates. She looked like someone who lived on magazine covers. Tall. Elegant. A black coat draped over her shoulders like she'd walked straight out of winter's own runway. Her hair fell in perfect waves. Her heels clicked sharply on the marble floor, and she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never worried about bills, late rent, or stretching paychecks. She scanned the room, her gaze sharp, then landed on him. Her expression didn't soften. If anything, it tightened. She approached with the poised precision of someone used to being recognized, respected, maybe even feared. Ethan stood automatically, because his mother had raised him right. "Aria?" he asked with a polite smile. "Yes." Her voice was crisp, cool, like she was evaluating him in one blink. "You're Ethan?" He nodded. She looked him over, his inexpensive button-up shirt, the slightly worn shoes, the hands that carried years of physical work. Her eyebrow twitched. Not in a good way. They sat. She kept her coat on for a full minute, like she wasn't sure she planned to stay long enough to remove it. Ethan cleared his throat softly. "I'm glad you came. I wasn't sure this would actually happen." Aria finally slipped off her coat, revealing an emerald dress that probably cost more than 3 months of Ethan's salary. "My assistant insisted I go on one date this month," she said flatly. "Apparently, it's good for human connection." She said human connection like it was a corporate term she rarely used. Ethan laughed gently, trying to ease the tension. "Well, I'm honored to be the monthly quota." She didn't laugh back. A server approached with menus. Aria didn't even glance at hers. "I'll have the truffle risotto and a glass of the Bordeaux," she said, like she'd already memorized the wine list. Ethan swallowed. He was planning to keep his order under $25. He opened his menu slowly, pretending to consider options he already knew he couldn't afford. "I'll just take the grilled chicken pasta. And water, please." After the server left, Aria folded her hands and studied him like a puzzle missing half its pieces. "So," she said. "What do you do?" People usually ask that politely. With her, it sounded like a test question. Ethan decided to answer honestly. "I'm a security guard. Mostly night shifts, sometimes day shifts when they need me." She blinked. "Once. Twice." "Oh," she said, "just that. Nothing more." No follow-up question. No interest. Just one syllable that carried every assumption she had about his life, his choices, his worth. Ethan tried again. "It's not glamorous, but it keeps me busy. And it gives me flexibility to take care of my son." Aria stirred her water glass. "You have a child?" "Yes. 6-year-old. His name is Caleb. He's my world." She didn't smile. Her lips tightened a bit. Almost like she heard "single dad" and filed that into a folder labeled incompatible. "I see," she said. "Well, that's admirable." The way she said admirable didn't sound admirable at all. Ethan fought the urge to shrink that he wasn't ashamed of his job, but sitting across from someone like her, someone who could probably buy this whole restaurant without blinking, made him aware of every limitation in his life. "Do you enjoy what you do?" she asked, sipping her wine. "Yes," he said quietly. "I like helping people. Keeping places safe. It matters to me." Arya smiled for the first time, but it wasn't kind. "That's cute." Ethan felt the word land on him like a slap. Cute, like a puppy, like a child, like a hobby, not a real profession. That he inhaled slowly. "Well, I think every job matters. Even small ones." "Of course," she said, waving a hand dismissively. "The world needs people like that." People like that. That he wasn't sure if she realized how harsh that sounded. Or maybe she did, and didn't care. "What about you?" he asked, trying to shift the conversation. She seemed relieved to talk about herself. "I'm the CEO of Sterling Corporation." Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "The tech company?" She nodded. "Yes. We specialize in AI infrastructure, automation, and enterprise." "Well, you probably haven't heard of the details." He resisted the urge to smile. She assumed he didn't understand. But truthfully, Ethan read articles about business and technology during his long night shifts. Not because he needed to, but because he liked learning things most people didn't expect from someone in his role. "I've heard of it," he replied gently. "You recently acquired another startup, right?" That startled her. "You know about that?" "It was in an article." "You pulled off the acquisition pretty fast." She stared at him for a moment, confused, like she didn't understand how a security guard could know anything about the business world. "Well," she said after a pause, "I suppose that's good." The server brought their food. Arya's dish smelled expensive. Ethan smelled like comfort. Arya took one bite, nodded at its quality, then leveled her gaze at him again. "So your son. Do you see him often? Or is the mother the primary caretaker?" Ethan twirled his fork. "His mother passed away 3 years ago." Arya froze, eyes widening. "Oh. Yeah." She looked around, uncomfortable. I didn't mean to pry." "That's unfortunate." "Unfortunate," Ethan nodded. "It's okay. Life happens. I'm doing my best." She didn't offer condolences, or empathy, or anything resembling warmth. Her face smoothed back into the same polished, detached expression she carried when she walked in. "Well, I suppose your job gives you enough time for that," she said lightly. He looked up, puzzled. "Enough time for what?" "To handle all of that." Ethan swallowed hard. She didn't understand. She didn't try to understand. She saw security guard, and assumed slow days, flexible hours, and a life without ambition. And the worst part? She wasn't even being malicious, just oblivious, wrapped in a world where people like Ethan were background characters. She tapped her nails on the table. "So, why a blind date? Do you not meet many women in your line of work?" Ethan forced a smile. "I'm busy. And I don't bring women around my son unless they're serious." "Ah." She nodded, as if he'd confirmed something she already believed. "I suppose that makes sense for people with that lifestyle." That lifestyle, low income, overworked, single parent. She had put him in a box and closed the lid tight. He leaned back, breathing slowly. He'd faced rude people before. Drunk men at bars. Angry customers. Entitled executives passing by his post without a glance, but this was different. She was sitting across from him. Sharing a table, a meal. And still, she looked at him like they were worlds apart, not because of character, but because of status. Ethan looked at her again, really looked. The flawless makeup. The designer jewelry. The precise posture. The chilly eyes. She was everything he wasn't. But she also seemed lonely. Maybe even hollow. She didn't notice him studying her, because she was already checking her watch. Listen, she said after a moment, I'm going to be honest. I don't think we're compatible. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. I gathered. I'm sure you're a good person, she said, smiling politely. But our worlds are different. Very different. He didn't argue. Thank you for coming, she added, already standing. And, good luck. She grabbed her coat, slid her purse on her shoulder, and without waiting for the bill, without offering a goodbye smile, she walked toward the elevator. Ethan stared at her empty chair for a moment. That he had been judged before. But not like this, with such calm certainty that he wasn't enough, not because she knew him, but because she never gave herself the chance to. He paid for his meal, both meals, actually, because Arya hadn't bothered, and stepped outside into the cool night air. He exhaled, letting the disappointment fade into the wind. This date had been a mistake. A mismatch. A reminder of the invisible lines people still drew in the world. He pulled out his phone to call a cab, when suddenly a scream cut through the night. A woman's scream, sharp. Terrified. He turned, Arya, and in 1 second, one breath, Ethan ran.